really didn't play a factor into the race. What about now with 2 laps to go? Will that play a factor into these guys right now?
Well, we've got John Warden on the line, one of the managers for the Mercury team. John, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
What are your impressions so far?
Well, the race is going pretty much according to plan. We knew there'd be a big break, and as long as the gap didn't get too big, we kept it under control. Now it's going to be interesting to see what the other teams are going to do the last 2 laps, and I guess it's going to be a pretty interesting finish.
John, why did you decide to start your team chasing when you did?
Because of the rain. No other teams were willing to do any work, and everyone's going to try and play off our team, so I didn't want my team having to go full gas in the rain and risk any accidents or anything.
John, who is your favorite rider in your team for this finish? Is it Chris Horner?
Yeah, Chris Horner is the guy. There's still a lot of sprinters, though, in the group. Todd Littlehales from the Navigators, and Robbie Ventura from Saturn, Frank McCormick. So there's still a lot of good riders left in the group. The group's a lot bigger than I thought it would be at this point of the race, but now that it's starting to rain, that might get whittled down a bit.
Well, John, we know you have a lot of work to do in the last 2 laps, so we'll let you go right now and get you back to your duties.
Thanks.
Okay, rain again falling. We understand that a rain cell moving into the area in the last 20 minutes. It has now come back to the Jackson area. Now with 2 laps to go, how does that change the strategy, John?
What that does is make everything a lot more risky. Riders now smell an Olympic berth. If they get to that finish line, they can make the Olympic team. They're willing to take risks and turns like this one. They're going to push it farther and farther and closer to the edge. Elbows go out, headbutts happen, and the roads become more and more slippery. And also, when rain like this happens, not that heavy a rain, it brings the oil up on the road, as we all know, all of us when we drive our cars, and makes the roadway that much more dangerous. So, 2 things to keep in mind. If you're in the back now, as you see at the bottom of our screen, it's going to be very difficult to get your way all the way up to the front of this bike race. So if you're in the front, when the rain starts, which is what John Warden wanted to have happen, you're generally going to be much safer and have a much better ability to control this bike race.
So less than 2 laps to go in this Olympic trials here in Jackson, Mississippi. The lead pack has regrouped, and a lot of riders still in the hunt for that Olympic berth. Remember, the winner goes on to Sydney, Australia, to join Lance Armstrong and George Hincapie on the American Olympic team.
The winner and the winner only. And that is worth a lot of risk. And with this rain, they're going to go for it.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, we will be back with the finish of this race. Rob, but right now we have something going.
Rob, before we take a break, we have a breakaway. And certainly Team Saturn up there and Team Mercury.
And I can't believe it. It's Roy Nickman again, the man who has been a 35-year-old who retired to go coach the national team, decided, you know what, I'm still strong, I still got the legs, and here he has been one of the heroes of this Olympic trials event. Roy Nickman out in front again, forcing the pace, setting up his...
John, hate to interrupt, but he played possum for at least 2 laps, hiding behind Eddie Gregas, hiding behind Trent Klasna, resting his legs, and now he's able to break away as he's doing.
Nevertheless, he was out in front all that distance, and that does take a lot of effort. It's not sitting in the slipstream is never that easy. You're still working very hard, but now the race is out of control. Riders going on the left, riders going on the right. Out of the glimpse of our screen, you saw a red jerseyed rider at the bottom of the screen sneak away. That's Danny Pate, a 21-year-old rider, a phenomenal rider, double national amateur champion, now a professional on the famous Seiko Cannondale racing team, along with the U.S. Postal Service rider Dylan Casey, one of the strongest men in the field, a winner of European time trial events, and Pate, 2 of the young riders coming up, 2 tremendously strong riders. This is a very dangerous breakaway.
Oh, we got it going now. Look at this. This is exciting. I'll tell you what, the excitement here is going on. Fans have lined up the streets here in Jackson, and they're watching this race to the conclusion. And I'll tell you what, this is an exciting event.
Danny Pate there, number 63, yielding to one of the Team Mercury riders back onto the front.
Nickman again, closing down the bike race. He is a workhorse, a man of tremendous experience. And look at this race out of control. On the left, on the right. Now they smell the victory. Now the riders are not afraid of the distance. They know it's only 18, 20 miles to the finish, and they can do it. And right there in the third position, Frankie Andreu, the hero of the Tour de France, the man we've been waiting for all day, the man who took Lance Armstrong to a yellow jersey on the Champs-Elysees. He's a rider who wants to join his teammate Armstrong on the Olympic team.
And this is the first time, John, since 1 o'clock, since the race started, that we've seen him at all in the picture.
He is a professional, he knows what to do, and he knows that it is at this point that it's do or die. You either get away and you do this breakaway and you get to the finish with a small group, or your Olympic dreams may very well be over.
I think we're going to try to talk to Mark Gorski. Mark Gorski of the Postal Service, but we're still trying to get in contact with him. Obviously difficult with his duties going on right now in the car right behind the lead pack.
John, what's the danger of flats at this point with the rain?
Excellent question, very much so, because the rain and the oil brings debris up to the surface, and there is a lot more chance for flats, I believe.
Yes, we have Mark Gorski, manager of the Postal Service, on the air with us. Mark, how's the race developing from where you see it?
Well, it's kind of gone as we would have expected. I think the course is relatively flat, so you've got a big group of guys still together, and Mercury was not represented the way they wanted to be with Nickman in the breakaway, so they did the work to bring it back, and I think it looks like it's going to be a massive field sprint.
Who is your sprinter? Mark Gorski, it's John Eustace here.
Well, Frankie Andreu is a guy that we're all riding, the team is riding for here today, and Frankie, if there's a small group of guys that could get away in the last few miles, I like Frankie's chances in a small breakaway. I think if it's a field sprint of 50, 60, 70 guys, I think it's going to be tough, but there isn't any sprinter here who I think that you automatically think is going to win a massive field sprint. Frank McCormick's probably the fastest guy here, I would say.
At the same time, Mark, this is almost a 140-mile bike race, which most of the American field is not accustomed to riding. So even if someone like Frankie Andreu doesn't have quite the sparkling speed of a Frank McCormick, perhaps the endurance needed after this much racing will come into play.
Absolutely, no question about it. I mean, I think after this long of a race, Frankie's chances are better. But Frank McCormick is still he's done some races in Europe earlier this year, and I think Derek Bouchard-Hall from Mercury is probably their best pure sprinter here. So there's actually a number of guys. I think it's actually a pretty wide open race at this point.
Well, Mark, thank you for your time. We know you're busy right in the middle of the race, and thank you for your comments and good luck.
Thank you.
2 laps left in the race, or less than 2 laps to go in this thrilling race. The winner going on to the 2000 Olympics in Sydney, Australia. And right now, what's going through the minds of some of the guys right now?
Well, Rob, I was going to ask John a question about what Mark had said about the U.S. Postal Service. He would rather have a small group with Andreu at the front, and he's worried about a whole pack. So with a lap to go, would you expect the Postal Service to make a break?
They'll do everything they can, but it's never that easy. For instance, here you have the Mercury team trying to break it up. I believe that is Bouchard-Hall on the attack, one of their sprinters. No, it can't be. It's got to be Landis, Floyd Landis on the attack, setting up Bouchard-Hall for the win. You can try, but plans fail. And one thing to consider with a big field sprint, if you have 100 bike riders trying, every one of them, to get to the finish, and it's raining, that is extremely dangerous, and a mass crash can happen, and boy, is that an ugly thing. So at the same time, Andreu has got to think about his Tour de France, and he doesn't want to risk his neck here and lose his Tour de France chances coming up. So a lot of things going through the minds of these bike riders right now. But look at the speed. Look at how they're all stretched out in a single snaking